Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 120 of Songs of Selah here on 17 Numa Radio. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I'm your host, Scott Thomas Outler, and we're all set to have a great time this evening with a special Halloween edition of the show on tap. Red Fox, editor-in-chief of Alien Buddha Press, will be kicking the festivities off in just a bit as he and 10 other authors from the ABP House of Horrors anthology series will all be joining the program to read through their work tonight. If anyone would like to call in to win free copies of the anthologies, Red will be giving out more information about that possibility coming up in the next segment. The number here is 646-668-8757. So please do stay tuned for that opportunity, and be sure to hit the follow button and subscribe to the channel here at 17 Numa Radio to get in the loop about future episodes. Thank you to everyone who helps spread the word about the show by sharing links. Your support is greatly appreciated. Well, who the heck needs to dress up for Halloween when the whole world is already covered up and woven into the spell of a masquerade? What kind of spooky tales are left to be told during the Wuhan age when a gnarly plague of fear has stolen the stage? It should come as no surprise that it's a full blue moon here on Halloween in 2020. No doubt the portal to some alternate dimension was long ago flung open and breached in this wild year, so we should expect nothing less as further fruit of a strange season. Yeah, the energy is pouring through and glaring down directly upon us, so we might as well make the most of it and do our best to shine despite any adverse conditions designed to dim the light. We've already been tricked into the clutches of a medical dystopia, with the poison-laced treat of a dark winter future being issued as a threat by tyrants lurking in the shadows, but still wearing shades nonetheless. Who needs goblins, zombies, witches, and ghosts to arrive in style at the costume ball when so many psychopaths are already parading around out in the open like propped-up corpses? May you live in interesting times, oh my. So buckle up and embrace the chaos, because there are still 2 full months left in this haunted house of the year we've been spinning through so far. But what the hell, let's have some fun and unleash our own dose of horror tonight with some poetry and short stories inspired by the macabre. Readings from Red Fox, Beverly M. Collins, Carrie Magnus Radna, Hani Zweibel, James O'Toole, J.J. Stick, Mekha Sood, Michael D. Miller, Robert Reagan, Samir Karimo, and Sandy Leibowitz are coming up just around the bend. And that'll wrap things up here at the top of the show. Let's go to a music break now and then come back on the other side with tonight's guests. Stay tuned.
Many sights to see, and when I look in my window, so many different people to be, that it's strange, so strange. You got to pick up every stitch, you got to pick up every stitch, you got to pick up every stitch. Must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch, yeah. Must be the season of the witch. When I look over my shoulder, what do you think I see? Summer cat looking over his shoulder at me, and he's strange, sure is strange. You got to pick up every stitch, you got to pick up every stitch, yeah. Beatniks out to make it rich. Oh no, must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch, yeah. Must be the season of the You got to pick up every stitch. The rabbit's running in the ditch. Beatniks out to make it rich. Oh no, must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch. Where'd I go? When I look out my window, what do you think I see? And when I look in my window, so many different people to be. It's strange, sure is strange. You got to pick up every stitch, you got to pick up every stitch. The rabbit's running in the ditch. Oh no, must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch, yeah. Must be the season of the witch. Where'd I go?
Welcome back to Songs of Selah here on 17 Numa Radio. If there's anyone interested in appearing as a guest on a future episode of the program, please feel free to get in contact with me via email at 17numa@gmail.com or reach out on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter and send me a message. I'll be more than happy to get you set up for an episode coming up in the new year ahead. Now, to get on with tonight's show, I want to welcome first to the program author, artist, photographer and editor-in-chief at Alien Buddha Press, Mr. Red Fox. How you doing, my friend?
Good, Scott. Must be the season of the witch. Doing great. How you doing?
Good, good. Trying to get into the spirit a little bit here. Let's get revved up for this show. Got a lot of good authors out there calling in tonight, I know, so looking forward to it and appreciate you coming up with the idea and helping get this all set up.
Hell yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having us on again, Scott.
Yeah, always welcome. It's a lot of fun last time, so hopefully we'll replicate that here tonight again.
Cool. Well, before I get started, there's a couple things. Well, before I get started reading my contribution to Alien Buddha House of Horrors Part 3, there's a couple things. If you want to, I'll be giving out a free copy of all of the trilogy, so 3 books to the first person who can guess this horror movie based off my 3 clues. And I told Scott in a message earlier this week the name of the movie. So if you get it, Scott will tell you. And if no one gets it, we'll go by who was closest by the end of the show. But so here are the 3 clues. The first one, this movie came out over 20 years after Rosemary's Baby, but over 20 years before Get Out. The second clue is this movie was based off of a novel by an American author, a renowned American author. And the third clue is that this movie might slap you a little bit harder if you've been eating all your kids' trick-or-treat candy tonight. So those are, if anyone can guess that movie, you'll win all three editions of the Alien Buddha's House of Horrors. And before I read my piece, I also just want to mention some of the great books that have come out through Alien Buddha Press over the last month. Just today, Roll the Dice by Richard Kronberg, Carbon Footprint by Donnie Winter, Aldo Quigliotti, Confessions of a Pregnant Man, Memories by Alan Catlin, Starting Small by Dan Raphael, Pray for Us Sinners by Shannon Frost Greenstein, Breeds of Breath by Matthew Feinstein, Angel Fire by Patricia Kerrigan, Doors Carelessly Left Ajar by Melissa Chappell, Zen Tao Gai, DNA Unleashed by A. Summer Javadi, Magic by Chris Donahue, and so I'm just going to get started. This is The War on Sleep Apnea. 22 million Americans, 22 million. That's million. 22 million Americans suffer from sleep apnea. Every night I wake up gasping in unadulterated terror. But now there's help. There's help. Now there's help. Help! Now there's Aptulia. Talk to your doctor today and insist that Aptulia is right for you. Reported side effects of Aptulia include night terrors, sleep paralysis with audio and visual hallucinations, sleepwalking, sleep driving, sleep stabbing, sleep digging, sleep burying, glaucoma, stigmata, bloody diarrhea, anal fissures, anal polyps, irregular hemorrhoids on and or around the anus and or rectum, dry mouth, restless leg syndrome, homicidal thoughts, delusion of grandeur, Trump derangement syndrome, maggots crawling out of your cunt and or penis, erectile dysfunction. Consult your physician if you experience suicidal feelings, demonic taunting, random ejaculation outbursts, spontaneous human combustion, or an excessive urge to drink human blood while taking Aptulia. In somewhat rare cases, some patients have reported extreme insomnia and trouble breathing after taking Aptulia. In extremely rare cases, patients taking Aptulia experienced a parasitic growth in their small intestine, which lays eggs that become embedded in human excrement, and when passed, hatch a small lizard that gradually metamorphizes into an old man who offers to grant you wishes. Do not patronize your lizard anus wizard's attempts at granting wishes, as they continuously get granted in customs that have grim consequences. Kill your lizard anus wizard before he kills you. Aptulia is a walnut-sized twice-an-hour suppository which should not be taken with marijuana, because that's illegal. Do not take Aptulia on an empty stomach, as this can cause the suppository to turn your most vital organs into a yellow, acidic liquid, resulting in a slow and painful death. Talk to your doctor before you stop taking Aptulia. Sudden stop of usage can cause physical withdrawal so bad that you claw out your own eyeballs and beg for death. breathe freely and take back the night with Abtulia.
Great stuff, man. This first reading has been
Thanks,
sponsored
Scott.
by Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah. So thanks for having me. I know we got a lot more people on tonight. Finite amount of time to get everyone in, so I'm going to let you get on with the show. I'm going to be listening along. And, let someone know if they guess that movie.
Okay, right on, Red. And thanks once again. Good stuff, my friend. And we'll do this again sometime down the line. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Scott. Good night.
All right, that was Red Fox, and we're going to keep rolling along here tonight on the show. Next up, we have Beverly M. Collins, calling in.
Hey, how you doing, Scott?
Doing very well. Happy Halloween, Beverly. How are you?
Happy Halloween, and thank you, Red, for inviting me to be on this. I'm going to read from the House of Horrors 3, and my poem is on page 126 if anyone has the anthology already and wants to read along. But it's called The New Witchy Menu, and it goes like this. There were mice in the attic and basement rats, trees in the backyard crowded full with bats. The noodle-legged witch knew what she knew. There could be plump meat for her Halloween stew. Witchy tiptoed softly with her cauldron and a net. She may not catch a lot, but she'd get what she could get. Rats baked with gravy and a few potatoes. Bat fricassee, fresh parsley and tomatoes. The noodle-legged witch knew what she knew. They could be plump meat for her Halloween stew. Oh, the mice scampered, as did the rats. She swished at the bats, but they flew too fast. Witchy ran, and she ran, and she scooped, and her net stayed empty with every little swoop. The noodle-legged witch knew what she knew. When there is no meat, plan a new menu. So she chopped fresh parsley with butter and potatoes, baked bread, steamed carrots in with the tomatoes. The noodle-legged witch knew what she knew. If there is no meat, plan a new menu. Thank you so much, Scott.
Right.
Thank you, Red.
Very good. Thank you, Beverly.
And I have my own books out called Mud and Magic and Quiet Observations. And that poem I just read, again, is in the House of Horrors 3.
Okay.
Wonderful
Where's
edition.
the best place that people can go to check out more about your work?
My work, you can find it anywhere online. It's on Amazon. It's everywhere. You can go to you can look me up on Facebook, Beverly M. Collins, M like Mary, and you can, if you Google me, you'll see I'm everywhere. I'm published in a lot of different journals here in America and in the UK and Canada. Okay.
All right. Very well.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you calling in.
Okay. I'm going to listen in. Bye-bye, though.
Bye. All right. So thank you to Beverly M. Collins. And keep rolling along here now. Next caller is going to be Carrie Magnus Radna. Carrie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How are you doing, Scott?
Doing quite well. How are you this evening?
Pretty good. Thanks very much. Halloween is a wonderful time for all of us in this crazy year that we've been having.
Absolutely. Have a little bit of festivity to take our minds off of the troubles every once in a while. Hopefully we can accomplish that here tonight.
I want to thank Red and Frida for publishing me and their wonderful anthology, The Alien Buddha's House of Horrors 3.
All right, that's the most recent edition, released recently. People can find that on Alien Buddha Press website or on their Facebook page if they want to get more details about it. And so what's the title of your piece you're going to be reading for us tonight?
Okay, I'm going to be reading a poem called 1969-1970. And I wrote this because I was It's based on Laurel Canyon, A Place of Time Part 2, which is a wonderful musicology or something.
I'm sorry?
On Epics. It's on Epics, and it's sort of like a biography on the people who lived in Laurel Canyon during the 60s and 70s.
Okay.
So, pretty great. So I will be reading the poem right now. And it is on page 24. All right, here we go. When blooms outside smell like turpentine, when girls played with his greasy gun, and his place used to be such paradise. His words used to hold you spellbound. Soon our beds became so cold. Fire pits couldn't disguise the blood running outside the door. It's time to hide away our guns. The sheep are not sleeping tonight. The Southern California sound after dark kept all the hip cats up, stoned out of their gourds. The hopefuls wait outside at the triple door, feeling safe in the brotherhood of singer-songwriters before the threat of the killer's October silenced the hopefuls in L.A. They wait for the good drugs to take effect, dreaming they were dusty stars before their tender opportunities burnt out. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Really appreciate you calling in tonight. Excellent
Absolutely.
piece. Is there any information you'd like to give out to those who might want to check out more of your work?
Absolutely. I'm on Facebook, Carrie Magnus Rodna. You can also hit me up on Twitter, CMR Boxwood Star 1. And I have several collections. You can get online on Amazon.com. My first collection is called Hurricanes Never Apologize, which is published by Luchador Press. And you can get it on Amazon or bookshop.com if you like to get things that are, let's just say, not Amazon.
Anything to help out the indies here, especially during this time.
Absolutely. Exactly. And I have I have a new one coming up, a new collection coming up. It's called In the Blue Hour. And it's going to be in Neuralia Publications sometime in 2021. So, coming up soon.
All right, very cool. Congratulations on that upcoming project, and thank you for calling in.
Check me up. And also check me online at cmagnusrodna.com.
cmagnusrodna.com. All right, very good.
CarrieMagnusRodna.com. CarrieMagnusRodna.com. My whole name and my whole name.
Okay, your full name. Okay.
Yes. Thanks very much.
Well, thank you, Carrie, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening ahead.
Okay, you too. Have fun.
Thank you much. All right, we're going to continue on to our next caller friend of the show, friend of mine, Miss Honey's Webel. How you doing, Honey?
Hey, Scott. How's it going?
Good, good. How's your Halloween so far?
So far, so good. As you can hear, Loki is also enjoying it, so sorry about the dog massively barking in the background.
He's chasing ghosts back there.
Yeah. All right,
So,
well.
what's going on with your work late, Honey?
I'm sorry, what?
What's going on with your work? Anything new that you're working on at the moment?
Nothing new at the moment. I'm trying to gather orphans, loose pieces, things that haven't been published, and get them together for maybe another book before the end of the year, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, so tonight I'm going to read from Alien Buddha's House of Horror #2. And this is a story called Death Grocery, inspired by some real events. The apocalypse came in 1996. No one told it to the ghosts and demons in the health food store on Howell Road in Fairmay, Georgia. The cashiers and managers continued to cashier and manage. The customers continued to arrive. The delivery trucks come weekly from the local farm just up the road on Thursdays to deliver fresh orders. Stock boys fill up the shelves. Under Register 2 lies the body of a dead Confederate soldier. He'd wandered into these woods to die after the Battle of Fairmay on July 3rd, 1864. Mostly, he likes to fidget with the electronics on the cash register. He is fascinated by that. A little wiggle of his ethereal left toe can make the items ring up 666, and he finds that endlessly amusing. Most of the workers at the health food store have some sort of psychic abilities. The girl with the brown hair and a ponytail says the price to the customer and gets an image in her mind of a black horse-drawn carriage, the horse frothing and skeletal, and the people inside the carriage with black, lidless eyes, staring. Death seats 5 but occupies 3, she intones. The customer smiles and pays by check. They laugh like ghosts in a trance. There's little amusement in the land of the dead, little amusement even after the apocalypse. It didn't come the way people thought it would. It came exactly how people thought it would. But this weird corner of Georgia stayed normal, owing some credit to the demon that lives in the produce department. It enjoys drama far too much. Let its corner of the world dissolve into ashes. It kept its hosts alive, where it fed off their misery, and only the living, tangible misery tasted so sweet. The bitter and the sweet mingle and keep it alive. It feels. Each wave of energy riding on ill people gives it a sensation of absolute loathing and absolute ecstasy. It draws light workers to it. It needs them as a shield, a hedge of protection. When it sleeps, peace settles like dust. People empty from the store, and the chorus of cooler fans humming absorbs the energy. Sounds of dusk fill the place some days. Strange wanderers pass through, travelers between the worlds. The cosmic doors open just a crack, and wayfarers wander through. But mostly, it embodies a foreboding and an apathy, draws curses from mouths with regularity, brings irritation, is the essence of fuck this shit and walk out the door. The girl with the brown hair and the ponytail stares down at her open cash drawer. All day she stares at the green faces of dead men who once led the country and now are bones in memory. And she imagines what they might say if they could talk like puppets. She thinks, Andrew Jackson is a dick. He made the Cherokee walk the trail of tears. Abraham Lincoln looks like an emo gangster, and George Washington can turn into a mushroom. See, she folds the bill, unfolds the bill. Andrew Hamilton gives a face like, I made the federal treasury or some such fact. And it boggles her mind how dirty these colorful strips of cotton and metal are, how they are traded instead of a valuable object, but are themselves valuable objects only because of the value put on them. Value gone elsewhere, but in this demon-protected sphere, still acceptable currency. She hates working there, but she needs the money. Her discomfort in this place bores through her stomach. She feels it burning, feels it as an intense, sharp pain, but it goes away if she takes deep breaths and lets the thoughts of rage pass like pop-up storms, pass like macho blonde buzz cuts who demand to use the newest technology, which they don't have yet, pass like old white men who think their jokes are funny. It's free if it won't ring up. It's $5, ha-ha. 2 seconds, I'll hold you to that. I'm counting. Pass like customers who won't read signs and ask her while she's clearly dealing with something else and want beats when all the beats are gone. Can you check the back? Pass like large women with bright red hair and a toddler with scrapes in tow. If they take food stamps, they do. Pass like red gummy candy smashed into the pavement covered in ants. Pass like the lady eating handfuls of all the bulk items. Bits of walnuts tumbling out of her open mouth. Pass like every question she's answered 100 times. Pass like the minutes on the clock she constantly checks until the shift is done. Don't catch her on a bad day, because, do you hear that? That is the sound of the wind howling through the whole of the zeros on all of the bucks she gives. The demon has always drawn light workers to it, to use them as fence posts and to draw as much of their energy as it can. The girl with the brown hair and a ponytail knows about the demon. She studies its ways. She can feel what it does. The restaurant next door buys the bananas for their banana pie from the store. A little mischief and badness into those bananas and into that banana pie. Another small portion gets absorbed by another customer's smoky quartz ring. It is always calling in healers and feelers and forgotten wise folks. It likes petty drama and scary situations. It causes fights at customer service. It causes slips and falls in the produce department. It once made a toddler choke and pass out. It fucks with the plumbing and the power on the coolers. It climbs up in the ceiling and gnaws holes in the roof so rain and mold come in. Other things come in as well. This health food store, besides being the haunt of ghosts and demons and a kind of roach motel for energetically gifted humans, is a portal. Perhaps the demon isn't the only thing holding the gate. For while the rest of the world outside the shopping center and the surrounding 4 neighborhoods of Fairmay is decimated, reduced to radioactive waste, and survivors huddling in bomb shelters, here it continues, a perpetual summer of 1996. Teen girls in bikini tops and Jenko shorts skate here from the pool to get cold organic smoothies. Soft music hums from the speakers overhead. Burrowed under the display table for potatoes and onions, the demon smiles. The end.
Very nice. Really enjoyed that one, honey. Never will look at Abraham Lincoln the same again. Emo gangster.
Yep. Good times, bad times, though.
Can you please check the back? I'm sure that was asked quite a lot.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks so much. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Red. Anybody, if they want to look up my work or my name, it's Connie's Bible. You can find me on Facebook. That's CHANIZWIBEL.
All right, very good. Encourage everyone to go check out your work, and you've got a collection through Alien Buddha Press that they can pick up as well. I hope you have a great rest of your Halloween ahead, honey. Great talking with you.
All right, you too, man. Happy Halloween, y'all. Bye.
Thank you. All right, so let's go to a quick music break now, and then we're going to come right back, and we've got Jason O'Toole and JJ Stick just ahead. Songs of Selah here on Halloween night. Hope everyone is enjoying their evening and the full moon. We've got a special edition of the show tonight with authors from Alien Buddha Press reading their work from the House of Horrors anthology series. And we're going to continue that rolling along right now with Jason O'Toole joining the program. Jason, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Happy Halloween, everybody.
To you as well. Thank you.
All right. I guess I'll jump right in, if you don't mind.
Okay.
All right. Above me, soulless heavens. I read of holy men in India who taught that the soul might be reincarnated into the body of another after death. I wondered if I had not become the very grass and weeds along the roadside. However, I became aware that the ground to which I became stuck was naught but a dead patch. As the seasons passed, nothing would grow in this small circle, as if what I had become were the very absence of life. No longer did I see through eyes as before or hear through ears. Instead, my awareness of my surroundings grew more acute until I was aware of every movement of life around me. Even the tiniest fluttering of a moth's wings affected me as profoundly as the beating of the surf against the shores of my native Dundee. In the earliest days of my present state, few men would pass. I was aware of the moving of their lips, but could only make out songs. The first song I recall being aware of was a young soldier bellowing, "At the foot of a hill where the river was flowing, I sat myself down on the banks of the Dee." He was drunk, though not as drunk as I on my last ramble, which led me to this prison between heaven and hell. Something like sadness permeated whatever was left of my inhuman being as the soldier vanished around the bend, and with him his song. I would not be aware of another song for another generation or more. As time passed, my memories of my past self dimmed. I knew I had come to this wilderness to run a school. I recalled being proud of my learning and thought it was something that set me apart from my peers. Still, few were impressed with the abilities of a boy from a poor home, and so I set off across the sea. I nearly died on the passage and wish I had. Perhaps I would have become one with the sea and sky and not have found my terminus here in a thistle-choked ditch. Life in the colonies was harder than my wildest imagination, and I cursed my own fate, which led me to once believe that here I would prosper. The school which I ran was scarcely more than a room, a mockery of the schools back in Scotland. The children were disobedient, innocent only of learning, and stank of the goats and sheep raised up with them in their hovels. How could I have imagined it other than freezing cold nights spent huddled around a sooty fireplace at the village's lone inn? Nights spent scraping a bland, hasty pudding of corn and God knows what off a splintery trencher. Sometimes there was ale, less times rum, and when there was, I drank until I could no longer speak. The pub landlord would allow me to sleep off my drunk on a high-backed wooden bench, but on some nights I would pick fights, blaspheme against the gods and not-gods, or become so sick they would toss me out into the road. One such night, I walked into the darkness so turned around that I became unsure of my path home. I lost my way as the moon went to hide behind ominous clouds and did not return. I followed a light that soon disappeared. Had I imagined it? Where it led me, I knew not, and weary from rum and lack of sleep, I collapsed onto the roadway. The last thing I remember was the sharp pain as my neck was crushed under a wheel. It was still dark, but surely the coach driver knew they had killed me. My suspicion was affirmed as he reared his horses a few paces further and walked back to my trampled and ruined body. I felt him turn me over until I rolled down a slight embankment and came to rest in the tangled briars. My corpse would never be discovered, denying me of that final dignity of Christian burial. The awareness of my flesh bloating and rotting, of being devoured by wild dog, carrion, and maggot would have driven me mad, but there was hardly anything left of me to drive mad. The earth below my decayed corporeal form became barren, my only reminder that I had once existed as a creature with form and feature. The dead spot to which I am anchored had once scarcely been enough for any eye to notice. I myself did not become aware of it until unknown ages had passed and its diameter had increased to the size of a farthing. I found that nothing would remain in the slowly growing circle. Ants would march around it and no flying insect dare come too close. As it grew larger, even falling leaves and the occasional debris cast into the ditch by travelers would quickly be displaced. If I were causing this reaction, it was certainly not intentional. I was only awareness, sorrow, and regret, a hostage of the whites of the woods. As I was dead and forgotten by heaven and hell, I had no hope for relief from the sighing ache that remained where my soul should have been. And then something fell into the circle that would stay. Horses were more infrequent along the road, and this was fine by me. They sometimes spooked or startled when they passed my position. This would cause my heart to break, as in life I loved horses and longed to own one, although that would never be. It came to pass that carriages no longer required a horse to pull it along. The speed of travel of these forged iron beasts was at first quite disconcerting. One day at dusk, a coyote crossing the road came to be struck by one such carriage. He pulled himself into the ditch, dragging his broken lower half behind him. It took him a long time to die, and when he did, I felt nothing. If he had a soul like mine, if indeed that is what I am now, it made no stir on leaving his crippled form. The poor coyote slowly rotted at the core of my unbeing. No crow or vulture would dare cross into the bare circle to pick at his remains. Even the flies kept away, although they swarmed angrily just outside my perimeter, filling what was left of me with disgust. Although I could not smell, I was acutely aware of the stench of death, perhaps more so than I had been of my own so many years, centuries before. Men came to make strange changes to the road from time to time. I thrilled to see my first African, a noble figure astride a great machine which slowly changed the surface of my road from dirt to hard black stone. It was beautiful to behold, but it allowed the carriages to travel even faster. Soon one would collide with a stand of young birch trees, first drifting into the opposite ditch and quickly jerking to the other side until it made a terrible impact. I was aware of suffering, and although I could not hear the screams, I recognized them. As the screams became low moans, which eventually ceased, I could hear unrecognizable music coming from inside the twisted wreckage. A forlorn woman sang, "But nobody wants me. I'm blue somehow. Won't someone hear my plea and take a chance with me? Because I'm nobody's baby now." I could see the mangled body of the driver slumped over something like a ship's wheel inside the carriage, his hair sparkling with crystal and his arms and face streaked with blood. Within a moment, something emerged from the carriage, something no bigger than a candlelight and shining with much more intensity. It floated up high into the air and then traveled down the road from whence the carriage had come. I was again alone. Others would come sometime after daybreak to marvel at the wreck, to remove the body of the poor young driver, and work to pull the broken carriage out from the trees. Finally, another carriage arrived at near dark. A young woman carrying a single white rose exited a rear door and walked to the spot where a young life had come to a violent end. I felt something coming from her I had not myself felt since boyhood. The memory of this feeling stirred something like a regret, pain and melancholy in my what? I cannot say. For a moment, though, I felt alive. Only for a moment. And in that moment, I remembered something about myself. Perhaps I have not been entirely candid in my description of my previous life in the colony. I now see myself as a young man standing over the body of a handsome lad, the rival for my affections never returned, of a girl who would soon meet the same fate. She would not be my last whole offering to my master, not by a country mile. Blood stained the front of my work shirt, for the work that I do is the filthy grunt work of the gentleman with the pitchfork. Scratch-found work for these slack hands, killing work for blood-black hands. Somehow it escaped my attention that just beyond the trees on the opposite side of my road, an enormous building had been erected. I only became aware of it when the trees were cut down, giving me a long view of a 100-acre field with rolling hills and flickering lights of a settlement in the distance. For months, years, I let my awareness drift over the field, settling for a while on the brick edifice facing me and taking in the explosion of life that occurred shortly after sunup. The carriages carrying such life had gradually changed over the century or so when they had first appeared. Their shape, sizes, and colors varied over time, but they still functioned essentially the same. Carriages like bright longhouses wheeled in row after row, and young life would spill out in streams of dizzying exuberance. I remembered schools and how I once taught in them. Gradually, my hopeful interest in this development turned bitter as I thought of my past and all that was lost to me. The dead circle to which I had now been rooted had grown and grown until it was now noticed by the still alive. Efforts were made to leave signage in the circle, and each time it was replaced, it was spat out within the hour. I was aware of the clear cutting of the forest behind me. Trees fell, animals ran from their burrows, birds abandoned nests full of hatchlings. I felt nothing for them. I was not part of these woods, but apart from them. My sense of separateness from all things alive increased. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, I became unmoored from my dead spot upon the ground. It began with an awareness that my sadness, my resentments, my avarice for all things alive had become something else. My feelings were but shadows, and love and hate had no more use to me than whatever fragment of my bone remained under me in the infertile soil. Each daybreak, when young life swirled before me in colors brighter than the day before, I was beyond indifference. I could now hear every sound, not just the music which blared from carriages, they called them cars, and boomed from somewhere inside the building in discordant notes of brass and woodwind. There was nothing left of the teacher from Dundee here, nor of the condemned drunkard he had become in this new world. Just as anyone who might have accused me long ago had passed from this world, there was no trace of me ever existing. Was I at last to be reborn now? I hovered over my spot, each day a little higher. I drifted as affected by winds I did not feel. I slowly spun on my dead axis. It was morning, but the sky had gone dark, and the storm was moving in seemingly from all directions. The school was brimming with life and each movement, and the birds had flown off, and all was still aside from a crack of thunder. Even the swarms of gnats that had thickened the air had retreated. The gathering darkness sucked the color from each bloom in the growth around me, and even the green hues of the dense grass and leaves turned a uniform shade of gray. Round and round this mortal coil, round and round this infertile soil, round and round this unholy ground, round and round my tramping ground. A wail of some great horn pierced the air, the rain lashed at the ground, and the winds roared, thrashing the trees. A loud crack exploded behind me as a dead elm tree split in half. All around me now, everything was spinning in a haze of dirt, sticks, rocks, trash. It lifted me off the ground, much higher than I had ever been. Across the road, I was carried in the belly of an immense dark funnel. I will never know if I willed it to happen, if I were the pilot or passenger in this dreadful whirlwind. The brick and mortar of the school could not withstand the brutal gnashing of the havoc twisting all around me. I tasted the death of cowering children, the screams of men and women, and sucked the last prayers from the lungs of the desperate and devout. I experienced neither pain nor pleasure in each life extinguished, although I felt them all expire. Had I become a force of nature or merely witness to its indifferent savagery? Now it was over. Slivers of sunlight cut through the inky clouds and illuminated a hell on earth. There was nothing left alive in the now vast circle that extended in all directions from my centuries-old shallow grave in a roadside ditch. Emboldened by my short and violent trip across the road, I willed myself to escape. I found that I could not. I watched in agony as 1,000 little lights rose from the collapsed school and floated off to some unseen land. Perhaps I had become a harvester of souls to feed some cosmic hunger, and these lights were but spiritual food to be devoured by some otherworldly emperor. Perhaps I imagined this to gain some comfort and sense of importance, that my cruel, formless existence had meaning, however horrible. I could not bear the thought that these glowing orbs were set free from this world to inhabit forever the kingdom of heaven while I remained. No, above me soulless heavens, below me the wheat was harvested, but the thistle would remain forever. My cold consciousness had now become massive. I could feel every broken twig, unearthed rock, and bit of torn flesh scattered in these ruined acres. Expanding in every direction, I slowly stretched out towards the lights of the villages and farmsteads, still teeming with life. For now.
Fantastic.
And there you have it.
Powerful.
Thank you.
Well done, Jason.
All right.
Any information about your work you'd like to share with listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been doing quite a bit with Alien Buddha lately, so I'm in a number of their anthologies. I do have 2 standalone collections that the Red Salon put out, Spear of Stars and Soulless Heavens. And if you would like first to try to find autographed copies, the Silver Unicorn in Acton, I believe you can call or get online and hit them up, or Lovecraft Arts and Sciences in Providence has some copies, so we could try those first before you have to go to that Jeff Bezos thing. SpearofStarsWordPress.com is my blog, which I'm derelict on posting, but sometimes you might have me on there too. So that's about it.
Okay, fantastic. Encourage everyone to go check that out. And once again, great reading there, Jason. Appreciate you joining the show tonight.
Oh, I'm enjoying it too. Everybody's doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
All right. Happy Halloween and take care.
All right, take care.
All right. Thanks so much to Jason O'Toole with that great reading. And next up, joining us from the Alien Buddha Press authors is JJ Stick. JJ, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Scott?
Doing great this evening, thank you. What are you
going
to be reading for us tonight?
I'm going to be reading a poem that appeared in Anthology 3, and my name is actually John Stickney. JJ Stick is what I go by on Facebook.
Okay, thanks, John.
The poem is entitled "The Beast of Bladenboro, North Carolina versus Brownie and Dodger, 1953-1954." First off, there was blood all over the porch, big puddles of it. And there was a pool of saliva on the porch. It killed one dog at 10:30 at night, left Brownie lying there, big tooth-marked open wound. My dad wrapped the dog up in a blanket for burying in the morning. That thing came back later that evening and got the other dog, and nobody's seen that dog since. Brownie ain't coming back. At 1:30 in the morning, it came around and killed Dodger and took it off. Dodger we used hunting black bear. He was a mean, strong dog. Should have had a fighting chance. Found it 3 days later in a hedgerow. The top of the dog's head was turned right off, and its body was crushed and wet like it had spent some time in that thing's mouth. It ran through other places, in other countries, other counties, killing dogs, cats, small cows, chickens. So many things chewed by something with a big appetite. A year later, it was gone. Nothing being killed, nothing missing. Figured something else ate it, or it moved on to someone's greener pasture. Thanks, Scott.
All right, thank you, John, for calling in. And is there any information that you'd like to give out about your work or where people can find out more?
I really appreciate you doing this, and I really appreciate Red and Alien Buddha Press, and I'm thrilled to be included in some of the anthologies and zines among these very, very talented people.
All right, well, we appreciate you calling in, and happy Halloween, John.
Happy Halloween to you, Scott.
Thank you much. All right. So far, we've talked to Red Fox, Beverly M. Collins, Carrie Magnus, Radna, Hannes Weipel, Jason O'Toole, and then John Stickney just now. I want to thank all of them for their excellent readings so far tonight. It's been a great show so far, and we're going to continue rolling right along now with Mikha Sood calling in.
Yeah, hi, Scott.
How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Nice to talk with you again.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. What are you going to be reading for us this evening?
Yeah, I'm going to be reading my two short poems. One of them is from the Alien Buddha Press, House of Horrors, number 3. It's called My Horror Movie. My horror movie. That nihilistic throat, grabbing my head like an incessant headache, my senses rocking me to the core. That pain is the reminder of your memories, the miasma of incessant pain, as it dug its knuckling deeply into my head and kneads me violently, shaking me to the core, giving me the creeps forever and more before I give in, always and again, this unbirthing of childhood fears and the panics which kicks in. Oh, my relentless heart looks for company with the soothing, your old jealous fingers, that gut-wrenching and soul-numbing pain leaves me in the fetal position. That numbing pain I feverishly want to get rid of. This whole hamster on the wheel routine has left me aghast, like a horror movie stuck on its reel.
Very nice.
And the second, thank you. And the second poem, it's a short one. It's called Fresh. There is nothing new in this world. There I am, counting the minutes lost by the clock.
Are you still there,
No
Mika?
matter how.
Mika, could you please start that poem over? You're breaking out and in a little bit, and I want people to be able to hear the whole thing.
Okay. You want me to start over again with the second one?
Please do with that second one, yes.
Okay. There is nothing new in this world or the place that I'm in. Counting the minutes lost by the clock with no hand. Our body is outlasted by our bones, our only testament in the world. Hollow and brittle, but they can't tell the truth. No matter how voyeuristic your life was, they are buried, numb and mute in the rotting soil. They outlive us. They are marks of the immortality. The rocks of the tomb are battered and degraded as the hands bring me into it, surrounded by silent rocks. And the stone-hearted people, reeking of the dark pain, carried in their hallowed light. Everything is stale and reeks of the stench of the pain and jealousy they carry in their hearts. But I'm fresh as a daisy. My body still warm as I'm being blowed in the freshly dug grave. Thank you.
All right, two nice pieces. Thank you so much for sharing this evening. Is there anything else you'd like to tell listeners about your work, where they can find out more?
Yeah, I'm on a couple of places. I'm on the WordPress. It goes by Megha's World site at .wordpress.com. And I'm on Facebook by Megha Sood. And I'm on Twitter at like Megha Sood 16. And recently I have my first chapbook out by Local Gem Press, which is by James P. Wagner. And I just have a limited copies of it. So if you want one, you can hit me up on the Facebook or on my WordPress site. And today is a special day because today my first anthology as an editor also came out by the Mookie Chick Press. It's called the Medusa Project, and it's free for download. So you can go to the Mookie Chick website. It's a UK-based press, and you can download. And the other anthology that I'm working as a editor, it's called the Kali Project. It's by the Indie Blue Press, and it's going to be out next year in January.
Okay, fantastic. Congratulations on the Medusa project that was released today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thanks once again for calling in these past couple of weeks. You're always welcome on the program in the future if you'd like.
Yeah, I'll get back to you too if I'm like if you have the spot or something. I'll get in touch with you. But for today, I'm really thankful to Red Fox and for you, and to Red for making me part of the anthology, and for you for giving me time and spot on your program. It's a really a good one. I've been listening. I started listening from last couple of times, and I'm really hooked to it.
I appreciate that. That's nice to hear, and we certainly appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Have a nice evening and happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween to you as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, so another excellent reading from Megha Sood, and we're going to continue along after another quick music break. Coming up on the other side, we'll be back with Michael D. Miller. Enjoy.
What do you know? What do you know? What do you know? The birds and the bees got wise to the light. What do you know? So they took to the trees and took to the sky. What do you know? On top of the chain and safe from the rain. What do you know? Would you know about the ways of the underside? What do you know? Bought a hot shot cat from an old Van Guinea. What do you know? 'Cause they're hip to the bone and they're hip to the light. What do you know? And they up with the ass 'cause you ain't got a penny. What do you know? Would you know about the ways on the underside? What do you know? What a hot shot cat from a North Van Guinea. What do you know? Ain't it up with your ass 'cause you ain't got a penny. What do you know? Dropping bombs from above, cut you all down to size. What do you know? 'Cause they're hip to the ball and they're hip to the lies. What do you know? Yeah, the streets rose in two perfect waves in the night. What do you know? One crashes on my left and one on my right. It's all fire and brimstone, baby, so let's go outside. What do you know? It's all fire and brimstone, baby. I got my brand new pistol, baby. What do you know? What a hot shot cat from a North Van Guinea. What do you know? Ain't it up with your ass 'cause you ain't got a penny. What do you know? Dropping bombs from above, cut you all down to size. What do you know? 'Cause they're hip to the ball and they're hip to the lies. And they're hip to the lies. Don't you know about the ways on the underside? What do you know? Got a hot shot cat from a North Van Guinea. What do you know? Ain't it up with your ass 'cause you ain't got a penny. What do you know? Dropping bombs from above, cut you all down to size. What do you know? 'Cause they're hip to the ball and they're hip to the lies. And they're hip to the lies. What do you know? What do you know? What do you know? What do you know?
All right, welcome back to Songs of Selah here on the Halloween special with authors from Alien Buddha Press and the House of Horrors anthology series. I want to apologize if anyone was hearing some noise a little while back. Some trucks decided to show up across the street and break out their chainsaws, cutting down some limbs around the phone and power lines, so not sure why they picked this exact moment to do it, but we roll with it. And if that caused any technical issues on the listener's end, I do apologize. But I want to thank everyone that's called in so far. A lot of great readings tonight, and we're going to continue that along now with our next caller, Michael D. Miller. Michael, happy Halloween. How you doing tonight?
Hey, happy Halloween. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling in. What are you going to be sharing with us?
So I'm going to be sharing a poem from the Alien Buddha House of Horrors #3 called Nightmare Tracks. And just a little side note, there actually is a fear of trains called cytoromodromophobia. All right.
What was that one more time? What's it called?
It's called cytoromodromophobia.
Okay.
All right, this is Nightmare Tracks. When I hear the howl of that train, sleep severed with a pang, from distant miles, uttering its call, over rooftops hovering, mammoth tonnage shaking the tracks near the house of my birth. That omen horn wailing without end, this night of all nights, the madness of it grew upon me. An endless, daunting drone, the sound hanging there in my ears, until withstanding it no more I walk into the soft night wind to those tracks, to see too late the engine's breath, an endless train of spectral corpses, every soul of this town hauled up, arching high above into starless space, riding cold rails to oblivion, on cosmic tracks waiting for you, for me, for dream, waiting over and again, link by link, eternal chain, when I hear the howl of that train.
All right. Very nice.
Thank you. And I just want to also say thanks to Red and all the other contributors reading tonight.
Absolutely, and I echo that thought. Any information about your work you'd like to share with listeners?
Yeah, I can be found on Twitter at The Real MD Miller, also on Facebook, and Blogspot under Michael D. Miller, and I've been writing a lot for Hippocampus Press out of New York, hippocampuspress.com, doing poetry for their Spectral Realms anthology, which is a yearly publication specifically geared to this type of poetry. Also write for Dead Reckonings, which is an annual review, twice a year actually, of horror and the weirdness in all the arts. And I also write for Lovecraft Annual.
All right. Everyone go check out your work, and definitely appreciate you calling in tonight, Michael. Enjoyed your piece, and hope you have a nice rest of your Halloween evening ahead.
You too. Happy Halloween and happy Samhain, everyone.
All right. Thank you much. And I wanted to give the clues out to the trivia question Red had introduced back at the beginning of the show. Hint number 1, this movie came out over 20 years after Rosemary's Baby and over 20 years before Get Out. Number 2, this movie is based off a novel by a critically acclaimed author. And hint 3 was this movie might slap a little harder on Halloween if you watch it while eating a bunch of candy from your kid's trick or treat batch. And if anyone has the answer to that movie, they can call in at 646-668-8757 to win free copies of the anthologies. Do have a caller from area code 910 on the line. 910. Did you have any questions or wanted to try and win those copies?
Hello?
Area code 910.
Oh, this is Robert Reagan.
Okay, Robert. Well, that works out just as well because you were the next up on the list anyway, so we will turn the reins over to you. What are you going to be reading for us tonight?
I'm going to be reading from House of Horrors 3, What You Get. Okay. I'm an understanding and often giving person, but in my line of work, they'll chew you up and spit you out for showing kindness. That's why I go to the fiends and fuck them up when they don't have my money. One powderhead, well, he can only smoke from here on out. What can I say? Bootleg nose job in a back alley with a rusty infected razor blade. He still owes me, and next time I'm taking those lips, he'll have to deep throat that glass dick after that. And if I can't find them, well, I go after other people in their lives. Who knew your boy had big clientele? A local businessman came out to the sticks to meet me on the regular. He wanted to front a couple of kilos, so I blessed him. Well, this motherfucker decided he wanted to stick me with a loss. He thought moving away would make the problem disappear. The only thing that disappeared was his 22-year-old daughter. Hey, it wasn't hard to find out where his ex-wife lived. Sent the dogs to get her, but I was thrilled when I got a pic and a text saying they also found Daddy's girl. I sent a word for them all to have their way with her during the ride back. I've got one hell of a dark, damp, filthy basement. Named it my sex dungeon once this blonde dog moved in. The dogs ran trains on the bitch, but I had all the real fun. Opening the door to darkness, hand on the pull string, I start the chainsaw and immediately get a hard-on to the sound of her screams. Screams that continue for minutes after I turned off the saw. Nearly hyperventilating, she looked at me and started yelling, "This isn't real. This isn't real." Laughing, I asked her, "If I make you bleed, then will you believe it's real?" I made sure to tell the bitch she was there because her father loved cocaine more than he did her. We let the mother live, but to further the psychological torment, I told my slave that we murdered her mother. When she was scarred enough, well, I let the bitch go. But first I held a knife to her throat and said, "You better tell your daddy to give me my fucking money." Love it so much, guess that's why it's the root of all my evil. When fiends owe me, well, that makes them animals, not people. And it's always hunting season. That was it.
All right, appreciate it, Robert. Any info or plugs you'd like to do on your work?
Well, I got 2 collections out with ABP, and I'm in a lot of their anthologies, like Alien Buddha Press zines. You can find a lot of my work online, especially at Punk Noir magazine. And currently I'm in the new issue, Switchblade magazine, issue 13.
All right, very cool. Encourage everyone to go check that out.
Appreciate it, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great rest of your night ahead, Robert.
You too, man. Be safe.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
All right, we're going to go to one more music break and then come back. We've got 2 more readers tonight, Samir Karimo and Sandy Leibowitz, still on tap, and we'll be back with them in just a moment.
This is your chance to make it.
authors from the Alien Buddha Press House of Horrors anthology series. We're going to continue along now with our next reader, Samir Karimo. Samir, are you there?
Hi, Scott. Hi, folks. How are you?
Doing well. How are you? Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you all, you folks. Well, can I start reading the text?
Absolutely. Please do. What are you going to be reading for us tonight?
I will read two texts, one from Alien Buddha House of Horrors 2, another from Alien Buddha House of Horrors 3. Good evening to you all. First calls. It calls Apocalyptical Choco Zombie. I was walking down the street when suddenly I saw a meteor crashing to the ground. I approached it. The object assumed the shape of my favorite chocolate, with a very seductive female figure, and even seemed to be reading my thoughts. The chocolate told me, "Swallow me and you will have it all." So I did it. With the hunger I had, I couldn't stand it anymore. What a delicious chocolate. And that's when the evil took on an unimaginable form. For every piece that I disgusted, something weird was happening. I felt that I was losing control. Then I started shaking like a madman. And then where the girls went, they became more demonic and anthropophagic. The man fell to the ground, destroyed in 1,000 pieces. And their pieces... 1 minute, please.
Sure.
Only a minute. Sorry for this.
That's okay. Take your time. If you need to find your place. In the meantime, hope everyone's enjoying
yes,
Happy Halloween.
Oh, yes, the man fell to the ground, destroyed in 1,000 pieces, and the pieces became zombie pieces that fed off all kinds of insects and human flesh, whether fresh or dead. Oh God! Chocolate wants to zombify us completely. Then I remembered that urban legend that before the end of the world, a old man would find a zombie meteorite girl that would destroy the world completely. Luckily, I hadn't yet eaten completely to complete the ritual. I only had a little bit, and on seeing that the dark chocolate seemed to have a life of its own, I wanted to throw it away, but I couldn't. Then his head tried to merge with my being and absorb the energy and absorb the energy of the old man who couldn't abstain from their hunger, and from the artist that unhinged us. What to do, I thought. I already know it. The only thing to do is look for a pure girl that is not contaminated by the apocalyptical dark choco zombie. It was when I remembered the girl of my dreams that had an angelical face, and that would only be delivered to me at the wedding or in this global catastrophic situation. But in return, I have to give something. After much walking, I found her, and with my vocal skills, consented to lose purity with me. And while we exchanged caresses, her pure spiritual energy began to take the form of white tragedy, that after swallowing it, would end this insane madness. And that's how it went. Now, can I read the following?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is from the Alien Buddha House of Horrors 3, The Kiss. I still remember her lips' taste. Quite seductive they were, but also hidden something creepy. They began to suck my vital energy, and it passed her powers. Whoever kisses me or becomes a dark, wicked spirit or an angelica aura, according to the deep insight, they could be Azrael or just that. That's all.
Okay, very nice. Thank you for reading those two pieces, Samir.
Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to say to the listeners tonight?
Well, my name is Samir Karimo from Portugal. I am a Portuguese, Spanish, and English splatter punk writer. I have two Portuguese books published called Supernatural and Macabro, and I have eight Spanish books, which is Ouija Infernal 1 and 2, Sangre Más Allá del Matadero, Sobrenatural, and I work Orquídeas para Perséfone with my small piece Reflexiones. And I am also a comic book writer. And now I will publish a Gorno comic called Valkyria, and I had also English book published through Alien Buddha called Supernatural. I write in some fanzines like Miniatura, The Walks, Demencia, Axioma, and for those who want to follow me, I'm in Facebook with my name Samir Karimo, and that's all. I want to thank you, Scott, to thank Red for this opportunity. Keep safe and happy Halloween, and thank you all.
Absolutely, thank you as well, Samir, and happy Halloween to you as well. Appreciate
happy
you calling
Halloween.
in internationally.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Thank you to Samir Karimo. And we've got one more author from Alien Buddha Press calling in to close us out here tonight. I want to welcome Sandy Leibowitz to the program. Sandy, happy Halloween, and how are you doing this evening?
Happy Halloween. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Really enjoyed listening to everyone so far tonight.
Me too.
So what are you going to be sharing with us this evening?
I have two poems. I had to come up with a second one because the first one is such a Debbie Downer that I don't want all your listeners to throw themselves out of windows, and then you won't have an audience. So the first one appeared in Alien Buddha Press House of Horrors 3, and it's called Suicide Forest. And it is based on an actual forest in Japan where there have been a lot of suicides, and they say it's haunted. So, Suicide Forest. Fissures in the concrete snake towards your feet. Katura roots pushing up from earthy graves to remind you of me. Trapped in the leaves of city ginkgos, the wind mutters, Aokigahara. You enter your empty apartment. The neglected jades on your windowsill drop their worthless coins in the patterns of my name. Come. The train speeds you to Mount Fuji's base. Ignore the lure of tracks, the trestle begging you to plummet on failed wings. Wait for me. Hike past the tourists headed toward ice-fanged caves. I have cold enough for a death time. My branches blot out any trace of blue. You choke on my stifling air as if dirt already crammed your mouth. A snarl of eager arteries makes you trip. You are a stumbler, a bungler, a mistake. Coming here's the only thing you've ever gotten right. No beast will spy your shame, no bird will sing. Those sounds? Just famine demons crying their hunger. The creak of something swinging from my boughs, my rotten fruits, volumes in my library, of misbegotten souls. And my second one will make you not feel like hopefully committing suicide.
We need balance.
I thought that would, yeah, that would not really be good to end a program on. So this one's called The Art, and it was originally published in Nightblade quite a while back. Nightblade is a defunct magazine, but it was really great. So The Art. There is an art to supping in the dark. The tango stock. He leads, you follow, Rogers to his stair, your footsteps predicting his strides rhyme. You match each hesitation, the backward glance determining that no one's there. The blend. Your breathing, you still call it that, silent, no tremor, no waft of wispiest curl betrays your blacker shadow shrouded by the slouch of tenement and townhouse. A jogger tugs the leash of her curious Doberman as they fleet past. The doorman's lonely circle of light doesn't find you. The swoop. If you had a pulse, how it would hammer. Even so, within your veins, the blood, a storm of many rains, surges like ocean waves frenzied for more. Now, jaguars dawdle, owls laze. Even you believe you must have wings. The petrification. Oh, that moment when his eyes widen in shock. You're the pretty thing he'd hold a door for, offer an umbrella to, protect from muggers. With just your gaze, you administer paralysis. Don't even need to lie. You'll only feel a pinch. You savor the racing heartbeat under subdued flesh, the jugular announcing its terror and its invitation. The slash. Some playful tonguing before you sink your fangs. Adrenaline high of the predator rushes in before you even have that first sweet taste. Two thirsts are slaked. All the rest is convenience. Mere intake of nutrition. Removal of the remains. Sexy as washing dishes. I hate that part. But the art.
Very nice.
Thanks, Scott.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, enjoyed that
I thought
reading.
it would work well for. Thanks.
So do you have any information about your work you'd like to share with us?
Sure. I'm often a speculative poet, so that's from my speculative kind of part of my aisle. I have two books of speculative poetry. One is called Eurydice Sings. It was put out by my mind went blank. And Carrie will know what I'm talking about. They went out of business. But it's available on my website, which is In the Raven's Wood, which is sandyleibowitz.com. S-A, and as in Nancy, D-I-L-E-I, B as in boy, O-W, I-T as in Tom, Z as in zebra. Isn't it awful to have a long name? .com. That part about isn't it awful to have a long name is not on the website. But it really is an awful name to have to spell out. And I also have another book called The Bone Joiner, which is speculative. And my most recent book is Ghostlight, which even though it sounds speculative, is actually a quarantine journal in verse, which Red Fox at Alien Buddha Press recently published. And so that's what's going on with me.
All right, well, we appreciate it. And you had a long name, and you also had the starting with the letter S tonight, so we were going alphabetically, so we got stuck with that lot, but we appreciate you hanging in there and giving a great performance to close things out.
Oh, thank you. And thanks to you and thanks to Red for hosting us, because it was a really fun night.
Appreciate that, and we're glad to have you, and hope you have a rest of your Halloween evening ahead as a happy one.
You too.
All right. Thank you, Sandy.
Bye-bye.
And thank you to everyone who called in tonight from Alien Buddha Press and to Red Fox for setting things up. We heard from Beverly M. Collins, Carrie Magnus Radna, Hani Zweibel, Jason O'Toole, J.J. Stick, John Stickney, Megha Sood, Michael D. Miller, Robert Reagan, Samir Karimo, and that was Sandy Leibowitz closing us out here tonight. A lot of great poems and short stories from everyone. Really enjoyed it. Had a fun time. Hope everyone else out there listening has as well. And have a happy Halloween. Enjoy the rest of this blue moon that's full. Going to go out with one more song. If you enjoyed the show, please do share it with your friends. And have a great month of November ahead. Selah.